The blue sun of Veridon cast long shadows across the bridge of the defense ship Crystal Dawn. Admiral Zefta stood with her forearms folded behind her back, watching the tactical display with growing despair. The holographic map showed dozens of red dots surrounding her homeworld, like angry wasps around a nest. Each red dot was a Caltharan warship, and there were so many of them. "Another transport has been destroyed," reported her communications officer, his crystalline face flickering, with the pale light that showed fear among their people. The safe harbor and all 12,000 civilians aboard. Zefta closed her large black eyes for a moment. 12,000 more of her people gone. The evacuation had been going on for 3 days now, ever since the Caltharan fleet had arrived at the edge of their system. The enemy had given them no warning, no demands for surrender. They had simply started shooting. "How many ships are left in the evacuation fleet?" she asked. 43 transports, Admiral. But they're all full. We estimate 2 million civilians still on the surface. 2 million. The number felt like a weight in her chest. Her defense fleet had started with 60 ships 3 days ago. Now she had 18 left, and most of those were damaged. The Caltharan fleet had lost maybe a dozen ships. The math was simple and terrible. The Caltharans were not like other species in the galaxy. Most races fought for territory, for resources, for political reasons. The Caltharans fought to destroy. They had been moving through this part of the galaxy for 50 years, wiping out entire species. No one knew where they came from or what they wanted beyond death and destruction. "Admiral, the Caltharan flagship is moving," called out her tactical officer. Zefta looked at the display. The massive Caltharan dreadnought, twice the size of her largest ship, was moving forward. Behind it came 20 other heavy warships, their black hulls bristling with weapons. She had seen those ships destroy planets before, turning entire worlds into balls of molten rock. "All ships, defensive formation 7, she ordered. "Protect the transports at all costs." Her remaining ships moved into position between the enemy and the fleeing civilians. Zefta knew it was hopeless. Her ships were outgunned, outnumbered, and running out of power. But they were all that stood between the Caltharans and 2 million innocent people. The first enemy shots lit up space with deadly red beams. Her ships fired back with their crystal-based weapons, creating beautiful but weak streams of blue energy. The contrast was stark. The Caltharan weapons were built for killing, while Veridon technology was meant for exploration and peace. "Direct hit on the bright star," reported the tactical officer. "She's breaking apart." Another of her ships died, taking its crew of 300 with it. Zefta watched the explosion on her screen and felt something die inside her chest. These were her people, her friends, dying while she watched helplessly. The Caltharan ships kept coming. Their formation was perfect, their timing precise. They had done this many times before to many different species. It was like watching a machine designed for murder. "Admiral, we're getting a message from Caltharan Command," said the communications officer. "Put it on screen." The hologram flickered and showed the face of a Caltharan war commander. The alien looked like a cross between a lizard and a machine, with metal plates covering half of its skull and glowing red eyes that seemed to burn with hatred. "Veridon insects," the creature spoke in its harsh, mechanical voice. "Your resistance is pointless. We will destroy every ship, every transport, every life in this system. Your species will be remembered only as another victory for the Caltharan Empire." "Why?" Zefta asked, even though she knew the alien probably wouldn't answer. "What do you gain from this?" The Caltharan's mouth opened in what might have been a smile showing rows of metal teeth. "We gain the silence of another inferior species. Your voices will no longer pollute the galaxy." The transmission ended. Zefta stared at the empty space where the alien's face had been. Pure hatred, she realized. They killed not for profit or territory, but simply because they hated all other life. "Admiral, 3 more ships are reporting critical damage." Her tactical officer said. "The New Dawn has lost main power, the Star Hope is venting atmosphere, and the Peace Bearer is requesting permission to ram the enemy flagship." "Denied," Zefta said quickly. "All damaged ships fall back and protect the transports. We'll hold the line as long as we can." But even as she gave the order, she knew it wasn't enough. The Caltharan fleet was too strong, too many. Her people had been a peaceful race for thousands of years. They had never built weapons of war, never learned to fight like this. Their ships were explorers and traders, not warships. Another of her cruisers exploded, the gentle current disappearing in a ball of superheated gas. The Kaltharan ships kept advancing, their weapons cutting through her defensive line like knives through paper. "Admiral, the transports are requesting permission to make the jump to hyperspace," said the communications officer. Zefta looked at the tactical display. If the transports left now, they might save themselves. But the 2 million people still on the planet would die, and her remaining ships would be destroyed within minutes. "Tell them to wait," she ordered. "We need more time to get the surface evacuations finished." "Ma'am, with respect, we don't have more time." She knew he was right. The Kaltharan dreadnought was now in range of her flagship. Its main guns were powering up, weapons that could split her ship in half with one shot. Around her, the bridge crew worked frantically at their stations, trying to squeeze every bit of power from failing systems. "All ships, concentrate fire." "On the dreadnought," she ordered. "Maybe we can slow them down." Her remaining 12 ships turned their weapons on the massive enemy flagship. Streams of blue energy struck the Kaltharan ship's dark hull, but the beams seemed to disappear into the metal like water into sand. The enemy's shields were too strong. "No effect, Admiral," reported the weapons officer. The Kaltharan dreadnought's main guns fired. The beam of red energy was so bright it hurt to look at, even through the ship's filters. It struck the Crystal Dawn's shields and sent violent shudders through the entire ship. Lights flickered and several console displays went dark. "Shields at 30%, called the engineering officer. "Another hit like that and we're finished." Zefta nodded grimly. She had done everything she could. Her people had fought bravely, but it wasn't enough. Never enough. The galaxy was full of predators like the Kaltharans, and peaceful species like hers were just prey. "Send a message to Galactic Command," she ordered. "Tell them the Veridan system has fallen. Tell them to prepare for the Kaltharan fleet to move deeper into Council space." "Yes, Admiral." She looked out at the stars one last time, at the beautiful blue giant that had warmed her world for millions of years. Soon it would shine down on nothing but empty space and floating debris. Another species would pass into history. Another world would go silent. The Kaltharan dreadnought was charging its weapons for the killing shot. Around her, the bridge crew prepared for the end with the quiet dignity of her people. They had done their duty. They had tried. But trying, Zefta thought sadly was not always enough. The sensor officer on board the Kaltharan dreadnought Death's Edge was the first to notice the strange reading. At first he thought it was an error in his equipment. The display showed something impossible, a single ship appearing at the very edge of the Veridan system, far beyond the main battle. "War Commander Grix," the officer called out, his mechanical voice cutting through the noise of the bridge. "Unknown contact detected at sensor range maximum." Grix turned from watching the final destruction of the Veridan fleet to look at the tactical display. His cybernetic eye zoomed in on the distant contact, analyzing the data. The ship was small, perhaps 300 meters long. Its design was unlike anything in the Kaltharan database, with smooth lines and strange angles that seemed to bend light around them. "Identification?" he demanded. "Unknown, War Commander. The ship does not match any known species in our records. Hull composition appears to be some form of advanced metal alloy we have not encountered before." Grix made a sound that might have been laughter if Kaltharans were capable of such things. "One ship against my entire fleet? Either this species is incredibly brave or incredibly stupid." Around the bridge, other officers began to notice the newcomer. The ship was moving now, accelerating toward the battle at a speed that was impressive, but not threatening. Even at maximum velocity, it would take several minutes to reach the combat zone. "Shall we dispatch a squadron to intercept?" asked the tactical officer. "No," Grix replied. "Let it come. I want to see what weapons this new species brings to their death." On the bridge of the Veridan flagship Crystal Dawn, Admiral Zefta was preparing for her final stand when her sensor officer's voice cut through the chaos. "Admiral, I'm reading a new contact. Single ship, unknown configuration, approaching from the outer system." Zefta's 4 eyes turned to the display. The ship appeared as a small green dot moving steadily toward the red mass of Caltheran vessels. For a moment, she felt a flash of hope. Perhaps the Galactic Council had sent reinforcements after all. "Can you identify the ship?" she asked. "Negative, Admiral. Hull configuration doesn't match any species in our database. The power signature is strange. Very advanced, but unlike anything I've seen before." The hope in Zefta's chest began to fade. If it wasn't a council ship, then it was probably just another species drawn by curiosity or mistake into this slaughter. One more victim for the Caltharan fleet. "Try to contact them," she ordered. "Warn them away from the battle zone." The communications officer worked at his console for several moments, then shook his crystalline head. "No response, Admiral. They're either not receiving our transmission or choosing to ignore it." On the unknown ship, Commander Sarah Chen stood, on a bridge that looked nothing like the organic curves of Veridan design or the mechanical harshness of Caltharan architecture. Everything was clean lines and soft lighting, built for efficiency rather than beauty or intimidation. "Tactical assessment?" "Lieutenant Morrison," she said calmly. The young officer at the weapons station studied his displays. 200 Caltharan ships, Admiral. Mostly heavy cruisers and destroyers with 3 Dreadnought-class vessels. They're using standard Caltharan Formation 7, maximum firepower concentration with overlapping shield coverage. And the defending force? 12 Veridan ships remaining, all showing significant damage. Civilian evacuation in progress but incomplete. The Caltharans have them outgunned about 15-1. Chen nodded. The math was exactly what they had expected when they received the distress call 3 days ago. The Veridan were a peaceful species, explorers and artists. Their ships were never meant for this kind of warfare. "Status of the weapon?" she asked. "Cascade. Generator is online and fully charged," reported the engineering officer. "All safety protocols are green. We're ready to fire on your command." "Good. Take us in. Full stealth until we reach optimal range." The human ship Retribution moved through space like a predator stalking prey. Its hull was covered with adaptive camouflage that bent light and sensor beams around it, making it nearly invisible to conventional detection. The technology was 50 years ahead of anything the Galactic Council had developed, the result of humanity's long isolation and intensive research. As they approached the battle, Chen watched the tactical display with the cold calculation of someone who had studied every Caltharan battle for the past 20 years. Humanity had been monitoring galactic communications for decades, learning about the various species and their conflicts. They had watched the Caltharan expansion with growing anger. "War Commander, the unknown ship has accelerated," reported the Caltharan sensor officer. "It will reach the battle zone in approximately 4 minutes." Grix studied the tactical display with interest. The small ship was moving faster now, but it was still alone. Still just one target against his massive fleet. "What is its heading?" he asked. "Direct course for our position, War Commander. It appears to be targeting the flagship." This time, Grix did make a sound of amusement. "Brave little insects. They think to ram us, perhaps? Or maybe they have some clever missile they believe will penetrate our shields?" The truth was, no weapon in the known galaxy could seriously damage a Caltharan dreadnought. Their ships were built from dark matter infused, metals that could absorb incredible amounts of energy. Their shields could deflect the main guns of entire fleets. "Should we target them now?" asked the weapons officer. "Not yet. Let them get closer. I want the Veridan to see their would-be rescuers die before we finish them." The unknown ship continued. Its approach, now less than 2 minutes from the Caltharan formation. It showed no signs of slowing down or changing course. To all observers, it looked like a suicide run. On the Crystal Dawn, Admiral Zefta watched the approaching ship with a mixture of admiration and sadness. Whoever they were brave enough to try to help against impossible odds. It reminded her of the old stories her grandmother used to tell, about heroes who faced overwhelming darkness with nothing but courage. "Admiral, the unknown ship is hailing us," reported the communications officer. "Put it through." The holographic display flickered to life, showing a face unlike any in the galactic database. The being appeared to be a female of her species, with short dark hair and intense brown eyes. Her skin was pale pink, smooth except for small lines around her eyes that suggested maturity and experience. "Veridan Fleet. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Retribution," the alien said. Her voice was strong and calm, showing no fear despite the desperate situation. "We received your distress call. I apologize for our delayed response." Earth, Zefta had never heard of this species. "Commander, you need to retreat immediately. The Caltheran fleet will destroy you in seconds." The human's expression didn't change. "Admiral, I need you to pull your ships back to minimum safe distance. What we're about to do will affect a large area of space." "What you're about to do?" "Commander, with respect, you have one ship against 200. There's nothing you can do except die with us." For the first time, Chen smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "Admiral, humans have been watching the Caltherans for a long time. We've been waiting for the right moment to introduce ourselves to the galaxy. This seems like a good time." The transmission ended, leaving Zefta staring at empty space. The human ship was now less than 1 minute from the Caltheran fleet, still, showing no signs of slowing down. "All ships fall back to 1,000 kilometers, she ordered. She didn't know why, but something in the human commander's voice made her believe that retreat might be wise. On the Retribution, Chen took one last look at the tactical display. The Caltharan ships hung in space like a dark cloud, their weapons trained on her single vessel. In a few seconds, they would find out what happens when you threaten innocent people while humans are watching. "All stations, prepare for cascade initiation," she announced. "This is for every species they've destroyed." The human ship Retribution came to a complete stop directly between the Caltharan fleet and the retreating Veridan ships. To every observer watching, it seemed like the most foolish possible position, surrounded by enemies with nowhere to run. War. Commander Grix stared at the tactical display with growing irritation. The small ship had positioned itself perfectly for maximum destruction, but it wasn't doing anything. It just sat there in space as if waiting for something. "Range to target," he demanded. 12 kilometers, War Commander. Point-blank range for all weapon systems." "Then why haven't we destroyed it yet?" The weapons officer checked his console. Again. "You ordered us to wait, sir. To let the Veridan see their rescuers die." Grix's cybernetic eye focused on the human ship with mechanical precision. Something was wrong. No species in the galaxy was foolish enough to position themselves like this without some kind of plan. But what could one small ship do against his entire fleet? "Scan that ship again," he ordered. "Full spectrum analysis. I want to know what weapons it carries." The sensor officer worked frantically at his controls. After several long seconds, he looked up with confusion written across his mechanical features. "War Commander, the scans are unusual." "Explain." "The ship's power signature is unlike anything in our database. The energy output suggests weapons capability far beyond what a ship of that size should be able to generate. And there's something else. The hull appears to be reconfiguring itself." On the bridge of the Crystal Dawn, Admiral Zefta watched through her ship's powerful telescopes as the human vessel began to change. Panels along its sleek hull were sliding apart, revealing complex machinery inside. Whatever was happening, it was clearly planned and deliberate. "Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy buildup from the Earthship," her sensor officer reported. "Power levels are off the scale. I've never seen readings like this." "What kind of weapon could generate that much power?" she asked. "I don't know. But Admiral, the energy signature is affecting space itself around the ship. I'm reading gravitational distortions, quantum fluctuations. It's like they're manipulating the basic forces of the universe." Commander Chen stood calmly on the bridge of the Retribution as her ship transformed around her. The Cascade weapon was humanity's greatest secret, developed during their long isolation from galactic politics. While other species had focused on building bigger guns and stronger shields, humans had taken a different approach. They had learned to turn the enemy's strength against them. "Weapon configuration complete," reported Lieutenant Morrison. "All targeting systems locked on the Caltharan dark matter cores." "Confirmed lock on all 200 vessels," added the tactical officer. "The cascade pattern is calculated and ready for initiation." Chen nodded. The Caltharans had made their ships from dark, matter-infused metals, believing it made them invincible. They were right. Conventional weapons couldn't penetrate those hulls, but the Cascade weapon didn't try to break through their defenses. Instead, it turned their greatest strength into their greatest weakness. "Lieutenant Morrison, you may fire when ready." The young officer's hand moved to the firing control. He hesitated for just a moment, thinking about what they were about to do. 200 ships, tens of thousands of lives, all about to be erased, in an instant. Then he remembered the reports they had received. Dozens of species wiped out by Caltharan fleets. Entire worlds burned to ash. Billions of innocent people murdered simply because they existed. Firing cascade weapon, he said quietly. The weapon itself was invisible to the naked eye. No beam of energy, no projectile, no explosion. Instead, it sent out a carefully crafted wave of quantum interference that interacted with dark matter. In a very specific way, every Caltharan ship was built around a dark matter core that powered their weapons and shields. The cores were incredibly stable under normal conditions, able to contain energies that could power entire cities. But the cascade weapon changed those conditions in ways the Caltharans had never imagined possible. War Commander Grix was still, studying the human ship when his engineering officer's voice cut through the bridge chatter. "War Commander, I'm reading unusual fluctuations in the dark matter core." "What kind of fluctuations?" I don't understand the readings, sir. The quantum resonance patterns are shifting. This shouldn't be possible. Across the Caltharan fleet, identical warnings were being reported on every ship. Engineering officers stared at displays showing impossible data. Dark matter cores that had been stable for decades were suddenly showing signs of instability. On the Retribution, Chen watched her tactical display as red warning indicators began appearing next to every Caltharan ship. The cascade effect was spreading through their dark matter cores exactly as the computer models had predicted. "Effect propagation at 90%, reported Morrison. "All target cores showing resonance cascade initiation. Time to critical cascade? 4.7 seconds and counting." Chen activated the ship's communication system. "Veridan Fleet, this is Retribution. I recommend you close your eyes." The first Caltharan ship to experience critical cascade failure was a destroyer on the fleet's outer edge. The dark matter core that had powered the ship for 20 years suddenly became unstable as quantum forces that normally held it together began working in reverse. The ship didn't explode in the conventional sense. Instead, it simply ceased to exist. The dark matter core collapsed into itself, creating a brief but intense gravitational anomaly that consumed the entire vessel. One moment the destroyer was there, the next moment there was only empty space and a fading distortion in the fabric of reality itself. But the cascade effect didn't stop with one ship. The quantum interference wave had been designed to spread from core to core, creating a chain reaction that would affect every Caltharan vessel simultaneously. War Commander Grix watched in horror as his mighty fleet began to disappear. Ship after ship simply vanished, consumed by the very power sources that had made them invincible. The effect moved through his formation like a plague, unstoppable and absolute. "Emergency shutdown of all dark matter systems," he screamed, but it was too late. The cascade had already begun in his ship's core. He could feel the deck plating vibrating beneath his feet as fundamental forces went mad in the engineering sections below. His last coherent thought was a question that would never be answered. What species could build a weapon that turned their enemy's strength into weakness so completely? The mighty dreadnought Death's Edge, pride of the Caltharan fleet, lasted exactly 4.7 seconds longer than the first destroyer to fall. Then it too collapsed into nothingness, taking with it the war commander who had destroyed so many innocent worlds. Admiral Zefta had closed her eyes, as the human commander suggested, but she could still see the flashes of light through her eyelids. When she finally opened them again, she found herself staring at empty space, where moments before, a massive enemy fleet had hung like a dark cloud. "Sensor report," she whispered. Her sensor officer worked at his controls with hands that shook from shock. "Admiral, I'm reading nothing. No Caltharan ships, no debris, no energy signatures. It's as if they were never there." "Impossible. The only thing left is the human ship. It's just sitting there like nothing happened." Zefta looked at the tactical display, trying to comprehend what she had witnessed. 200 warships, gone in less than 5 seconds. An entire fleet that had terrorized this part of the galaxy for decades, erased by a single vessel from a species nobody had ever heard of. On the bridge of the Retribution, Commander Chen allowed herself a small smile of satisfaction. The weapon had performed exactly as designed. Every Caltharan ship had been eliminated with no collateral damage to the Veridin forces or the civilian transports. Cascade weapon powering down, reported Morrison. All systems nominal. Excellent work, Lieutenant. Signal the fleet that we're ready to assist with evacuation operations. Ma'am, should we contact Earth Command and report mission success? Chen nodded. Tell them the first field test of the Cascade weapon was successful, and tell them that humanity is no longer hiding from the galaxy. She looked out at the stars, knowing that news of this battle would spread throughout known space, within days. Every species would want to know about the humans who had appeared from nowhere and destroyed an entire Caltharan fleet with a single shot. The age of human isolation was over. The galaxy was about to learn that Earth's children had been watching, learning, and preparing for this moment for a very long time. The silence that followed the disappearance of the Caltharan fleet was broken only by the soft hum of ship systems and the whispered prayers of the Veridin crew. Admiral Zefta stood on her bridge, staring at the empty space where moments before, 200 enemy warships had threatened the extinction of her entire species. "Admiral," her communications officer said softly, "the human ship is hailing us." She nodded, still not quite believing what had happened. "Put them through." Commander Chen's face appeared on the holographic display, her expression calm and professional. "Admiral Zefta, this is Commander Chen. Are any of your ships in immediate danger?" "No," Zefta replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "We have wounded, but no ships are in critical condition." She paused, searching for words that might make sense of what she had witnessed. "Commander, what did you do to the Caltharan fleet?" "We used a Cascade weapon that destabilized their dark matter power cores," Chen explained matter-of-factly, as if she were describing routine maintenance procedures. "The quantum interference pattern caused their own energy sources to collapse into contained gravitational anomalies." The Veridin admiral felt her four hearts beating rapidly. The casual way the human spoke of such impossible technology was almost as frightening as the weapon itself. "I've never heard of such a weapon. No species in the Galactic Council possesses anything like it." "That's because humans aren't members of the Galactic Council," Chen replied. "We've been observing galactic civilization for several decades. But this is our first direct intervention." "Observing? How long have you been watching us?" "Long enough to understand that the Caltharans represent a threat to all peaceful species. We decided it was time to act." On the bridge of the Retribution, Lieutenant Morrison was analyzing the aftermath of their attack. His instruments showed the gravitational echoes where the Caltharan ships had been, fading ripples in space-time that would be undetectable within hours. "Commander, I'm reading multiple distress signals from across the system," he reported. "Civilian. Transports requesting assistance with wounded and several Veridin military vessels need emergency repairs." Chen nodded. "Signal all ships that we're prepared to offer assistance. Medical supplies, repair materials, technical support, whatever they need." "Ma'am, are we authorized to share our technology?" "Limited sharing only. Medical supplies and basic repair materials are fine. Nothing that would reveal advanced capabilities." The next several hours passed in a blur of rescue operations. Human shuttles, sleek and fast, moved between the damaged Veridin ships carrying medical teams and supplies. The human doctors worked alongside Veridin medics, their equipment far more advanced, but their manner professional and respectful. Dr. Sarah Reeves, the Retribution's chief medical officer, found herself working in the sickbay of the Veridin flagship. The crystalline beings were unlike any species in Earth's databases, but their basic physiology was similar enough that human medical knowledge could help. "This regeneration accelerator is incredible," said Dr. Yelshaw, the Veridin chief medic, as she watched human equipment heal wounds that should have taken weeks to recover from. "We've never seen technology like this." "It's based on quantum cellular reconstruction," Dr. Reeves explained. "We can share the basic principles with your medical teams if you'd like." The Veridin doctor's crystalline face brightened with the patterns that indicated excitement among her people. "That would save thousands of lives across our fleet. But why are you helping us? You barely know us." Dr. Reeves paused in her work, considering the question. Because it's the right thing to do. Because you were fighting to protect innocent people against an enemy that wanted to destroy you simply for existing. Where I come from, that makes you the good guys. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the Crystal Dawn, Admiral Zefta was receiving reports from across her fleet. The human assistance was beyond anything she had expected. Their technology was decades ahead of Veridan's science, but they shared it freely and without apparent expectation of payment or political advantage. Admiral, we're receiving a priority. Transmission from Galactic Council headquarters, her communications officer announced. She wasn't surprised. News of the battle would have reached the core worlds by now, transmitted by the automated beacons that monitored this sector. Put it through. The hologram showed Counselor Vextar, a tall, thin being from the Altarian delegation. His expression was as close to panic as his species could manage. Admiral Zefta, we've received reports of massive gravitational disturbances in your system. Our long-range sensors detected the signatures of over 200 ships being destroyed, simultaneously. What happened to the Kaltharan fleet? They were eliminated by a human ship, Counselor. Human? There's no species called humans in our database. There is now, Zefta replied. A single human vessel destroyed the entire Kaltharan fleet in less than 5 seconds, using a weapon that turns dark matter cores into gravitational anomalies. The silence from the council chambers was so complete she could hear the background hum of their communication equipment. Finally, Counselor Vexitar spoke again, his voice carefully controlled. Admiral, that's impossible. No known technology can affect dark matter in that way. Nevertheless, it happened. I witnessed it personally, as did my entire crew. The Kaltharans are gone, and my people are alive because of human intervention. We need to speak with these humans immediately. Are they still in your system? Yes, and they're currently providing medical and technical assistance to my fleet. They seem to have no hostile intentions toward Council species. Keep them there. A Council diplomatic mission will arrive within 12 hours. The transmission ended, leaving Zefta alone with her thoughts. She understood the Council's concern. A species with the power to destroy entire fleets in seconds was either the greatest threat the galaxy had ever seen or its greatest protector. The question was, which one were the humans? Commander Chen received word of the incoming Council delegation without surprise. Earth's intelligence services had been monitoring Council communications for years. They knew this moment would come. Eventually, signal Earth Command, she told her communications officer. Tell them we've achieved first contact with the Galactic Council. Ambassador Martinez should be here within 6 hours. Yes, ma'am. Should we begin transmitting our prepared diplomatic packages? Not yet. Let the Council make the first move. We want to see how they react to learning about us. Lieutenant Morrison looked up from his station. Commander, we're detecting several more human ships dropping out of hyperspace at the system's edge. Looks like the cavalry has arrived. Chen smiled. Earth had been preparing for this day for decades. The Retribution might have been alone when it arrived, but humanity's first contact with galactic civilization would be handled by the best diplomats and soldiers Earth could provide. Signal the incoming ships to maintain position at the outer system until the Council delegation arrives. We don't want to appear too aggressive. Ma'am, what about the Kaltharans? Are there more fleets out there? Chen's expression grew serious. According to our intelligence, there are at least 12 more Kaltharan battle groups operating in this sector. They'll learn about what happened here soon enough. When they do, they'll either retreat to their home territory or come looking for revenge. Are you worried, Commander? Chen looked out at the stars, thinking about the weapon that had just announced humanity's presence to the galaxy. The Cascade Generator was only one of several advanced systems Earth had developed during their isolation. The galaxy was about to learn that the species from the small blue world had spent their time very wisely. No, Lieutenant, I'm not worried. The Kaltharans have been bullying peaceful species for 50 years because no one had the power to stop them. That age is over now. Humanity is here, and we intend to make sure that species like the Veridan can live in peace. As if to emphasize her words, another damaged Veridan ship sent a message of gratitude for the human medical assistance that had saved dozens of lives. Chen nodded with satisfaction. First contact was proceeding exactly as Earth's planners had hoped the galaxy was about to change and humanity would be the ones changing it. 6 hours after the destruction of the Caltharan fleet, the diplomatic ship New Geneva dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Veridin system. Ambassador Elena Martinez stood on its bridge, reviewing the final briefing materials that Earth's intelligence services had prepared for this historic moment. "Ambassador, we're being hailed by multiple ships," reported the communications officer. "The Veridin flagship, the Retribution, and what appears to be a Galactic Council diplomatic vessel." "Put me through to Commander Chen first," Martinez ordered. She had worked with Chen before, during the planning stages of humanity's eventual emergence onto the galactic stage. The military commander had done exactly what Earth's leaders had hoped, demonstrated human capabilities while maintaining the moral high ground. Chen's face appeared on the holographic display, looking tired but satisfied. "Ambassador, welcome to the party. I trust Earth Command briefed you on the situation?" They did. Eliminating an entire Caltharan fleet in one engagement should certainly get the galaxy's attention. "How are our new friends reacting?" "The Veridin are grateful but overwhelmed. Admiral Zefta is a good leader, but her people have never encountered technology like ours. The Council delegation arrived 2 hours ago and has been demanding answers ever since." Martinez nodded. "Any signs of hostility from the Council?" "Not hostility, exactly. More like controlled panic. They're trying to decide if we're a threat or a solution to their Caltharan problem." "Probably both," Martinez said with a slight smile. "Are you ready to transfer diplomatic authority?" "More than ready. I'm a soldier, not a politician. This is your show now, Ambassador." The next few hours were a careful dance of introductions and negotiations. Ambassador Martinez met with Admiral Zefta aboard the Veridin flagship, where the crystalline admiral expressed her people's profound gratitude for human intervention. "Without your ship, my entire species would be extinct," Zefta said, her 4 arms spread in the Veridin gesture of absolute sincerity. "We owe humanity a debt that can never be repaid." "You owe us nothing," Martinez replied. "We acted because it was right, not because we expected payment. Your gratitude is more than enough." The meeting with the Galactic Council delegation was more complex. Counselor Vextar led a team of diplomatic and scientific experts who had spent the journey to Veridin space analyzing every scrap of data about the mysterious humans. "Ambassador Martinez," Vextar began, his tone carefully neutral, "your species possesses weapons technology that could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. The Council needs to understand your intentions." Martinez had anticipated this question. "Our intentions are simple, Counselor. We want to see peaceful species like the Veridin protected from aggressors like the Caltharans. We've been observing galactic politics for decades, and we've seen too many innocent civilizations destroyed by those who worship only violence." "You've been observing us? For how long?" "Long enough to understand the challenges facing the galaxy. Long enough to prepare for this moment." Counselor Vextar exchanged glances with his scientific advisor, a beetle-like being from the Zephyrian systems. "Your technology appears to be significantly more advanced than anything the Council possesses. How did a previously unknown species achieve such capabilities?" Martinez smiled. "Counselor, humanity has had the advantage of developing in isolation. While other species were involved in galactic politics and trade, we focused entirely on scientific advancement. We've had centuries to perfect our technology without the distractions of interstellar diplomacy. And now you wish to join galactic society?" "Under the right circumstances, yes. But we have conditions." This statement sent a ripple of surprise through the Council delegation. Species asking to join the Galactic Council typically begged for admission and accepted whatever terms were offered. "What conditions?" Vextar asked carefully. "First, the Council must take decisive action against the remaining Caltharan fleets. We will not tolerate continued genocide while peaceful species beg for protection that never comes. The Council has tried to stop the Caltharans, but our combined fleets have been unable to match their military capabilities. That was before humanity became involved. We offer our assistance in eliminating the Caltharan threat permanently." "And your other conditions?" "Second, any species requesting human protection will receive it, regardless of Council politics. We will not allow innocent people to die because of bureaucratic delays or political considerations." Vextar was quiet for a long moment. "Ambassador, You're essentially demanding that humanity be granted special status within the council structure. No single species has ever held such authority. No single species has ever needed to, Martinez replied. The galaxy has changed, Counselor. The old ways of handling threats like the Calthorans have failed. It's time for a new approach. Over. The next 3 days, delegations from dozens of species arrived in the Veridin system. Word of humanity's intervention had spread throughout known space faster than anyone had expected. Representatives from the peaceful species came to offer alliance and gratitude. Military commanders from warrior cultures came to assess this new power that had appeared from nowhere. The Altarian Fleet Admiral, HFY, was among the most direct in his questioning. Commander Chen, I've studied the sensor recordings of your weapons' effects. No known technology can destabilize dark matter cores in that manner. Are you willing to share the theoretical principles behind the cascade generator? Chen considered the question carefully. Earth's scientists had debated this moment for years. Admiral, I can share the basic quantum mechanics involved, but the practical application requires technology your species doesn't possess yet. It would be like explaining nuclear fusion to a civilization that hasn't discovered electricity. Are you saying we're too primitive to understand? I'm saying you haven't developed the necessary foundation technologies. Given time and cooperation, that could change. The comment sparked intense debate among the gathered delegations. Some species saw it as human arrogance. Others recognized it as an honest assessment of technological gaps that had grown over centuries of different developmental paths. On the 4th day, Ambassador Martinez received an encrypted message from Earth that changed everything. The communication was brief but devastating. Caltharan response fleet detected. 12 battle groups converging on human space. Estimated arrival in 6 days. Priority Alpha. Martinez immediately called for an emergency meeting with all delegation leaders. When they had gathered in the conference room aboard the New Geneva, she delivered the news without preamble. The Caltharans have located Earth. A massive fleet is heading for our home system. They intend to destroy humanity before we can interfere with their expansion again. The silence that followed was heavy with implications. Counselor Vextar was the first to speak. How many ships? Our intelligence estimates over 3,000 vessels, including multiple planet-killer dreadnoughts. It's the largest Caltharan fleet ever assembled. Admiral Zefta's crystalline features showed deep concern. Can your defenses handle such a force? Martinez met her gaze steadily. Earth is not defenseless, Admiral, but this battle will determine whether humanity continues to exist as a species. It will also determine whether the galaxy finally rids itself of the Caltharan plague or continues to suffer under their genocidal campaigns. What do you need from the Council? Vextar asked. Nothing, Martinez replied, surprising everyone in the room. This is humanity's fight. We knew this moment would come eventually. Earth has been preparing for it for 50 years. You can't face 3,000 ships alone, protested Admiral HFY. We won't be alone, Martinez said quietly. The Retribution was not the only human ship built with cascade weapons. Earth's defense fleet includes 40 ships armed with the same technology that destroyed the Caltharan fleet here. The number sent a shock through the assembled delegates. 40 ships with weapons that could eliminate entire fleets in seconds. The implications were staggering. However, Martinez continued, this battle will prove once and for all whether humanity deserves a place in galactic civilization. If we succeed in destroying the Caltharan fleet, we'll have eliminated the greatest threat to peace the galaxy has known in centuries. If we fail, the question becomes academic. Counselor Vexatar stood slowly. Ambassador, the Council hereby grants humanity emergency membership status and offers all available military support for the defense of your homeworld. Thank you, Counselor. But as I said, this is our fight. However, there is one thing you can do. Send observers. Let them witness what happens when humanity defends its home. Let them record the end of the Caltharan Empire. Martinez looked around the room at the faces of beings from across the galaxy. Tomorrow, Commander Chen and I return to Earth aboard the Retribution. In 6 days, the galaxy will learn whether humanity's emergence marks the beginning of a new age of peace or the end of our species' brief participation in galactic affairs. She paused, thinking of the home she might never see again, of the billions of humans who didn't yet know that their entire species' survival hung in the balance. Either way, she said quietly, the galaxy will remember the day a lone human ship entered the battle and ended it in a moment. And they'll remember what we do next.